Okay, now so After Effects is set up properly, we can open the template file. Because I'm using After Effects CC, I'm going to choose the CS5 CC version. I'm just going to open that up. It's going to give me a warning it needs to be converted. That's okay. Okay, once that loads up, it's going to take just a moment to load the first comp up. There we go. I'll just quickly explain the structure of this. We've got part A, which is the character designer, so everything in here is where we define what our characters look like. And then the second folder, we can actually pre-render the character's animation out, so it makes working with this second section a bit quicker. We've got part B, the story builder, and here we've got clips, then animation sequences, building scenes, adding motion graphics elements, and then creating a story. So I'm going to start with just part A in this tutorial. So you've got the option here to choose between 3 characters. In this tutorial I'm just going to stick with the 1 character, so everything's going to be character number 1. So if I open up this first comp, it's the one that's already loaded up, then if we drag through this composition, we've got a few preview frames of our character. So if I click the global control layer and I look in the effects controls, then everything we need to customize him is all on this one layer. So we've got loads of color controls for everything, and then we've got tick boxes for the different things we can turn on and off. So I'm going to start by changing my character's color. And then I'm going to start using the checkboxes to add some clothes. So if I start by putting some trousers on him, if I scroll up a bit here, then if I give him a collar, some shoes, put a belt on him, give him a baseball cap, put some eyebrows on, sideburns. I'm going to choose the hair under hat option, and let's give him a t-shirt. Now if I want to change the colours of these things that I've just added, then I'll scroll up a bit. So if I find the t-shirt colour option, I'm going to set that to blue. If I do the same with his collar, I'm going to add a bit more detail onto him by turning on the vest option. This defaults in as a fluorescent vest, but I'm just going to change the colours of that. So for the vest colour, I'm going to make that blue as well, and for the detail I'm going to make that white, and then for the stripes I'm going to make that blue as well. Okay, if you scroll right down to the bottom here, you'll see there's these decal options, and we can use these to actually load on an image or a logo onto different parts of him. So if I tick the hat one, for instance, then you can see the logo's appeared up there on his hat. And if I go back to the project window and I look in the logos folder corresponding to this character, then we've got these 4 comps here. So if I want to change what's displayed on the logo, I can open up the baseball cap one. So basically anything I change in here gets added to the baseball cap. So I'm just going to import in a couple of images. And I'm going to add the blue star to this. So if I hide those other layers, and I'm just going to scale this down a bit. Then when I go back to my globals comp, you can see it updates and we've got the star on his hat. So I'm going to do the same thing with his chest. So if I scroll down to the bottom, enable the chest decal, and then go back to my project window and I'll load up the logo chest composition. I'm going to drag my bowling ball onto there, hide these layers. If I scale this down as well, put it down there in the corner. If I go back to my character, I can see it's appeared there. And I'm just going to create a bit more detail on his shirt. I'm going to create a solid, just a white box. And I'm going to scale that down as well. Okay, now that we're happy with our character, we can save this preset in case we need to load it up again. So if I go to the global control and I drop it open and just highlight the effects, and I go to the animation, save animation preset. So I'm going to save it in this folder, which is my user presets, We Are Humans character style presets, and that's got all the ones that come with the template in it as well. So I'm just going to call this Bowling Human. Now if I refresh this list and I go to the animation presets, character style presets, we can see we've got the Bowling Human one here. So I'll just quickly show you how to load up a preset. Say I want to load on, if I want to go back to the default one, for instance, I can go back to this naked preset, and if I drag that onto the global control, load up the construction worker, and I'll go back to my bowling one. Okay, so now we're happy with how our character looks. We could jump straight into the second section, the story builder, but I'm going to show you how to pre-render your character first, which means anything you do in part B of the template will be a lot quicker. It means you'll be able to scrub through the timeline with the character playing back at full speed, and it means also when you come to actually finally render your project that those renders will go a lot quicker. So if I drop open the pre-render folder, then again we've got the 3 folders for the 3 characters. So I'm going to look inside this folder. See, we've got these 2 different folders. We've got clips and we've got shadows. So we've got 2 compositions. We've got the animation library and the shadows library. And the reason we pre-render these 2 files separately is so we can keep the shadow layer on the ground below the character. So I'm going to create a proxy for this file. So I right click on it and choose create proxy movie. Then it's going to create this entry in the render queue. Okay, I'm just going to choose where I want this file to be rendered to, so I'm going to save it in here. And you can see by default it's come in with draft settings and it's set it to an AVI. We're actually going to set our proxy to render up at full resolution and full quality, and that way we can actually use it in the final renders. So where it says draft settings, I'm going to click the arrow and change that to best settings. And now in the output module, as it's set to an AVI file, when that renders out, it's going to create a huge uncompressed file, and we can reduce the file size a bit but still keep the quality the same by clicking the arrow and choosing our pre-render proxy that we installed at the beginning. So again, all that's doing is setting it to be a QuickTime, it's setting it to be a PNG compression so we don't lose any quality, but the file size is going to be smaller, and it's setting the alpha channel to be on. And the post-render action is going to be set proxy, so when it finishes rendering it's going to replace these compositions with a pre-rendered version. So I'm going to add this one as well, so if I right click and say create proxy, and I'm going to change this to best settings, I'm going to change this to pre-render proxy, and I'm going to put it in the same place. Okay, so I'm going to hit render on that. That's the end of this tutorial. In the next video we're going to load the storyboarder up and start connecting these animations together.